Hello, this is a video walkthrough or a simulated game of Pax Renaissance. I apologize if the lighting is not the best, but well, it is what it is. It's the first time I do a video related to board games, and it's mostly because I've noticed that people own this game, but they have trouble understanding what to do. So I thought it would be a nice idea to do a video explaining how the game works. So this is bare bones setup of the game for 2 players. So it's not completely set up for now. What we have here first is, in case you didn't recognize, it's the map of Europe with 10 different empires on it, starting with Portugal and England and going all the way to the east to Mamluk and the Byzantine Empire, Byzantine. Hopefully I pronounced it correctly. And well, in this map a lot of important things will happen during the game. So if you own the game, you'll notice that each map card will have 2 sides, but for most of them, or for 8 of them, only one side has a theocracy, so that means a religion that is deeply integrated with the authorities in that empire. So in all of the cards in which you don't have a theocracy, so you don't have a religious symbol, you put that in here. And talking about religions, there are 3 religions in this game, which have also, well, important. They are very important in this game. So we have, as I said, Christianity. We have the Islamic religion, and we also have the Reformation, or the Reformists. So they are given by these symbols. So you set up all the cards like this, and except the Papal States, which have theocracies, you see by the symbol on both sides. So you set the Papal States obviously with the Christianity symbol up to begin with, and Mamluk also has 2 theocracy sides, so you set up with the Islamic religion on top, facing the top. After that you put the initial rule class tokens on it. So rule class tokens are generally either knights or rooks, and depending where they are, they might mean different things. And the color of them represent which religion they are, well, they profess. So we have here a Christian rook or a Christian knight, and here we have an Islamic rook. But to begin with, we only start the game with pieces on the capitals. So the capital cities in each empire are given by capital letters, and as you know, the capital of Portugal is Toledo. And yeah, it will be fun to see the YouTube comments on this. But yeah, Phil Heckland has explained why Portugal, well, is like this. So it's basically Portugal and Castile, an abstraction of both empires together. So yeah, I'm okay with that. So we set this up. So here we need to put black rook in Cairo and black knight in Tana and white knight in Budapest, and actually 3 pieces in Constantinople. So 2 black rooks, 2 black knights and 1 rook. and one one rook in London. So what does this all mean? Well, basically, when they are in the cards like this, on top of the cards, a rook represents basically a knight in his castle or in his province. So some sort of military power that is not very movable or doesn't move at all, while knights, they represent, well, cavalry. So that's military power that can move. So basically through the game you'll see that knights will do most of the attacking, while for defending both knights and rooks will be important. But of course we'll see more into that. So we have set up most of the map. What we need to put is, for our players, we need to put their concessions. So we'll see what that means. So for this game we have Fugger of the Bank of Augsburg, and we have also Jacques Coeur of the Bank of Alexandria. And you see, it's the you have a concession in Augsburg, which is let's see if I can find it. So we put a concession, here it is, in here, and for the blue player we put a concession in here. So a concession is basically a permit to have trade on those borders. So the game is almost set up. I forgot to say that these player cards might be distributed randomly at the beginning of the game, and whoever gets Fugger, can we get some no? Okay. Fugger, he will be the first player. And the first player will start with three florins, while the second player starts with 4 florins. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if there's a third player, he will get 5 florins, and the fourth player will actually get 6 florins. That's twice as much as the first player. So yeah, some advantages, some disadvantages with the first player. Other cards that we have: winning conditions. There are 4 different winning conditions by standard. There's another one when all the market cards end. So these winning conditions are not active by default, and you need a comet card to activate one of the winning conditions. So this is a great part of the game, is that you set up yourself to fulfilling your winning condition, and then you have to buy the comet card and activate that winning condition. Another thing that can happen is, if you are not fulfilling any winning condition, you might buy the comet card to, well, at least not allow another player to activate the winning condition that they want. But we'll talk more about this later on in the video. Then we have the empire cards. So this represents each of the 10 empires, and they have a monarchy side or an imperial side, and they have also republic side. So So basically this will track which kind of empires do you have in your pocket, because we represent bankers in during the Renaissance, and the more empires you control with your pocket, well, the more probability of winning you have. And finally we have the market cards. We have two different markets, one for the east, one for the west. The east is represented by these 6 cards, or the west, sorry, is represented by these 6 cards, these 6 empires. So everything to the west of this border is considered the west in the game, and these 4 are considered the east, at least in this game. And in each of these market decks we have 2 combat cards, so cards that activate victory conditions. I think I have one on the bottom to show. Yeah, it's actually like in here. Sorry. So basically when you see this appearing in the market, it's time to get really well, nervous or excited, depending on what kind of conditions you are in. But how you set up the game is you take 12 cards, regular cards from the market, and you mix 2 of these combat cards. Well, you shuffle them, and then you put on top of that of those cards you put 4 more cards for each player in this game. So that means 12 cards, 12 regular market cards plus 2 combat cards which are shuffled, and plus 8 cards on top of those. And you do the same for the east trade route cards and for the west trade route cards. And then it's time to set up the market. So we take the first card. You don't even need to show the face, because it will never matter, and we do the same here. And for the other cards we can just show them. Here we have the same thing, but it's for the east market. So everything is kind of set up to begin the game. The game, well, it looks quite pretty on the table or on the floor or wherever you are. This video and the lighting conditions really don't do justice to this game, but now we can start, and I can start showing what is going on. So the cards look really busy, but there's not that much information in them. So we have let's see, we have the title, of course. So this is the name of the people or the group that we are, well, trying to, or that we are bribing mostly. This is just flavor text in here, so it's something, well, that I really enjoy, because then I get to know, well, more about this history. So this doesn't affect gameplay. And then we have several other things. We have this, so here it represents what kind of pieces you can put in onto the map when you play this card, and if you put them, then you have to put them, well, in the location that says in here, in this case Portugal. And these are the ops, so these are operations that you can use once you have this card on your tableau. Another thing that cards can have is one shot. A one shot is a type of operation that you can only do if you at the time that you play the card onto your tableau. After that, you don't have that option anymore. You can choose to do it or not to do it, or in this case, you can only do it if you have this kind of prestige, which I'll talk a little bit later. But I think it's the only thing that is affected by prestige during gameplay. Most 95% of the time prestige will be important for the victory conditions, but it will not mean anything during gameplay. And prestige is given by this. So when you play the card and it's on your tableau, it will give you prestige. In this case is for the discovery prestige. So here we have the starting market, and Fugler will start the game. Some reflection here I can't really avoid, I think. Maybe if I put my hand like this. And so what can we do during the game? Well, basically we can do 2 of 6 things during our turn. First thing, we can purchase. So purchase a card from the market, either from the east or the west market. So in this case we have Fugger, and one thing I think is pretty easy to start with is, first of all, during your first games, always keep in mind what how much money you have, and keep money with you. And of course there are ways to do that, and I think it's easier when you are in your first games to start doing matchmaking, to do coronations. So coronations are given by queens. You'll notice that each queen will have a coronation one shot, and then it will say in which country it can be coronated. So it means that that queen will marry, well, the king of that country, and that country or that empire will become, because you have promoted or you have made that marriage happen, you'll get well, that country under your control, so you can pull the strings behind that country and make some things happen. So maybe, well, Fugger will use his money to buy this or to get into to get this marriage. So first thing he will do, he will buy this card, and to buy a card you have to put 1 coin on each of the cards to the left, like this, and then you can buy the card for you. And it's important that well, you can buy twice on your turn. You can do both actions as a buy, but it's important that if you put money on a card on your turn, you cannot buy that card on the same turn. So you could not, as a second action, try to buy this card. So if you wanted to buy these 2 cards, you'd have to buy this one first and then buy this one. Sorry. So we got Elizabeth of Bohemia, which we can use her to get control of Hungary, Portugal, or the Holy Roman Empire. So this is the first action. We buy this card into our hand, and then we can do a second action. A second action can be to play the card, which is actually what we want to do at this moment. So I want to play this card and to marry Elzbieta of Bohemia into, well, to getting a kingdom under my control. So now if we look Hungary, Portugal and the Holy Roman Empire, at the beginning in the first games maybe it doesn't seem all that different to what they can do. But in the case of this player, sorry for that, I saw that we can do a trade shift. And when we do a trade shift, Portugal can become a quite attractive country. So I will buy, or I will marry Elzbieta of Bohemia with the Portuguese king, which should be in here. And that means, well, this is a country that is on the west side of the world, if you know, or of Europe. And then we put the cards like this. On a cruciform, like this. And you see that what we gain when we get this kingdom. First of all, well, we get kingdoms under our control, which is one of the victory conditions. So that's good. Also, we get discovery, prestige, which can be important as well. We get the possibility of doing a campaign or financing a campaign. So a campaign will mean that the country will actually attack other empires and maybe get them under your control as well. And finally, we'll get a concession. So concession, we can get the concession on the borders of Portugal. So in this case, I can get an orange concession on the border of Portugal, and I will choose this border, and we'll see later why that one was chosen. So that's the first turn for this player. And now it's time to, well, clean up for the second player to play. So we just move these cards in here and we turn the next card, and then the other player is ready to start. So what will Jacques Coeur want to do? Well, I admit that at the beginning, on the first games, it will be hard to understand exactly what you should do. You have to, well, look a little bit at the map and at the cards available and see what you can buy. But let's say, well, I want to one interesting thing will be to get control of the Ottoman Empire, because it's an empire which is quite strong to begin with, but I don't see anything that would give us control of that empire. It would be easier with a queen to marry into. So, well, the purpose is not to get very, well, strong strategic decisions. So I'll just buy one card. Let's say this one, and then I get the Gonfalonier. So this gives us law prestige and also prestige on the arts. We'll see, and this will be important for the victory conditions as well. And we get different operations in here. So these operations are well, they're only important once the card is on our tableau. So so that was my first action, to buy this card, and as a second action I could buy a second card, and I think he will actually do that, because he can, with this card, he can tax Portugal, which is interesting because the other player has a concession in Portugal. So we will do that. He will take 2 coins, put 1 here. This place is taken, so we put the coin on this card, and then we buy the conquistadors. And now we have to remember that both these cards are not on the tableau yet. They are on the hand of this player.